uit Zweden. Voormalig Zweeds sterkste man. Hij doet het heel erg goed tegenwoordig in de Challenge Tour. Is daar al winnaar geweest op die Tour. Een kwartfinalist op het International Darts Open van 2017. Geef hem een hartelijk applaus. The Ironman, Dennis Nilsson! En dan zijn tegenstander, een man die de laatste 2 jaren omhoog schiet als een komeet op de wereldranglijst. Finalist op de Players Championship Finals van 2017. En vorig jaar kroonde hij zichzelf tot Austrian Darts Open Champion. From Wales, the Ferret, Johnny Clayton!
There stood a log cabin made of earth and wood, where lived a country boy named Johnny B. Good, who never ever learned to read or write so well, but he could play a guitar just like a ringing a bell. Go, go!
Welcome back to Zwolle for the resumption of this afternoon session, day 2 of the Dutch Darts Masters 2019, and a match that features Johnny Clayton, the number 12 seed, against the Nordic and Baltic qualifier Dennis Nilsson of Sweden, the former runner-up in Sweden's Strongest Man competition a few years ago, and certainly looking very strong so far this weekend on the evidence of what he achieved yesterday, coming through his opening match with not too much fuss, it has to be said. But this an altogether very different proposition for the 43-year-old. Johnny Clayton, though, hasn't really had things all his own way so far on the European Tour stage this year. He has suffered defeat in 3 of his 6 opening matches so far in 2019. I suspect, Paul Nicholson, this is the sort of match that Johnny Clayton would, I think, rather have avoided.
Yeah.
An awkward one for him.
Dennis is very, very awkward. You are going to feel a little bit intimidated by him because of his reputation. And sometimes he can get a run against you and just fly, like he did in Risa a couple of years ago where he made the quarterfinals.
Ladies and gentlemen, first leg, it's Johnny to throw first. Game on.
What has to be mentioned, though, is that Johnny Clayton is a man who landed his 3rd PDC title earlier this year. In fact, it was last month with an 8-4 win over Gabriel Clements in one of the Pro Tour events in Barnsley, his 2nd Players' Championship crown. And it came almost a year after that success in Graz that Paul just mentioned a few moments ago. Paul has hot-footed it from the stage back to the commentary area. He was involved in a special exhibition match with one very fortunate spectator who had the privilege of playing Paul on stage. Paul coming through a fairly closely fought 2-set encounter, 2-leg encounter I should say, just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, it's good fun actually. And I've got to start sending an invoice to James Wade because he keeps withdrawing at the last minute and I keep getting drafted in to help the show out, which I absolutely don't mind doing because it's good fun getting on the stage and playing darts, and it reminds me of how much fun it is to be on the Euro Tour stage. And sometimes it reminds you that just throwing for fun can be really, really good for you. It makes you feel good.
Just the one anxious moment when your opponent Michel was eyeing up double 16, went very, very close indeed, but Paul survived that particular scare and came through unscathed to advance back to the commentary area.
Yeah, I tried a couple of shots on my knee, and I'm not going to be doing that post the age of 40 now. It's not a smart move.
60.
Yeah, going down on your knees on stage for a young woman, Paul, you know.
I'm not sure what my fiancé would think about that.
People can misinterpret these things.
Dennis Nilsson hasn't found his first dart yet, and Johnny Clayton, sometimes you can tell what mood he's in by the first visit in the match, and the first visit was very good indeed. 60 for double 18, and I'm still trying to figure out really the ideal lie of Johnny Clayton's dart, because he has this weird and wonderful way of getting stuff, you know, underneath the marker when it looks like it should be going over the top. He's very Terry Jenkins-esque in that regard. But he's just been sent a message from the Swede. Missed this 56 and I'm going to punish you. And that's awkward.
36.
And there you see it flicked off the flight, and early in this match Dennis Nilsson can get a foothold.
And it would be a break of throw as well for the strong man.
Yeah, shot the first leg.
Strong
Dennis
finishing.
Nilsson.
First blood to Dennis Nilsson,
Second
leads
leg,
by
Dennis to throw first.
1 leg to nil. Hasn't dropped a leg so far this weekend. 6-0 against Eric Holl yesterday.
He didn't really have to do a great deal yesterday. Eric didn't have his best game at all, and Dennis is going to be deliberate. He's not going to rush this game, and the amount of focus that he showed when he was climbing the steps, I'm not sure there's another dart player left in the draw who's shown that much focus.
Yeah, it's like when he stopped at the top of the steps as well. He just had a big, deep breath, soaked it all up, and got on with business.
It's a bit like the moment before they pick up those great big stones, isn't it? They have a big exhalation. Maybe not on the same level.
Keeping faith with the orange shirt that he wore yesterday against the Dutchman, which I thought was a bold move, but
100.
He dealt with the crowd very well, and so far so good for Dennis Nilsson, who, as we mentioned yesterday, has had some productive runs on the European Tour. That one run to the quarterfinals in particular in Riesa a couple of years ago, where he beat Steve Beaton, Darrell Gurney and Dave Chisnell, all 6-5. So clearly a very resilient player when he's up against it, when his back's against the wall. He came through those 3 encounters.
26.
Strong finishing that weekend as well, which we mentioned yesterday.
Yeah, that game against Gurney in Riesa was a special game of darts. It was littered with quality. And Nilsson had his own little thing going that weekend, which I haven't seen much of since. He tends to hit a winning double, then stare down the barrel of the lens and give you the old stare down.
Johnny Uruguay 121.
Looks like the kind of guy who would give you a stare down. Johnny doesn't need the bullseye here. Not going to use it at all.
57.
But with Johnny's game, you're just waiting for him to click. There have been great signs of form early in the season, but it seems to have stalled a little bit. I think he's just waiting for a bit of a spark. And the way things have been on the European Tour for the last year, on Saturdays, doesn't make brilliant reading, but when he gets through Saturdays, he's usually very dangerous.
Yeah, well, just making that point with Ricky Evans, since he became a seeded player, he's lost his 2 matches on a Saturday, his 2 opening matches on a Saturday. He just seemed to have struggled with acclimatising to that new schedule, but no problem today for Ricky Evans. Brilliant on his finishing in his victory a short while ago against Danny van Trijp.
What did you say after that match? He was 9 out of 7 on doubles.
He was 9 out of 7 on his doubles, yeah.
100. Johnny Uruguay 32.
Oh, 32 is a favoured shot for Johnny Clayton, and that's why. That's more like it. That's a 16 dart leg. That's around about the 94 average. He's warming up a little bit.
Well, we have seen some brilliant finishing this weekend. Mickey Mansell yesterday and Roby John Rodriguez to an extent as well. But
100.
Ricky Evans, just to, if you weren't with us, just to explain how he was 9 from 7. Double 19, double 19 for a break of throw in the opener. Double 20, double 20 for a 100 checkout for a hold of throwing leg 4 as well. And then finishing off with bull 25 bull. So really he was 6 from 7, but in our eyes, he was 9 from 7.
He's raised the bar a little bit there as Ricky Evans, and I can exclusively reveal that you do not want to miss Ricky Evans' walk-on tomorrow, because he has plans, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm saying no more.
Right.
I'm enticing you.
I mean,
you better not miss it.
All sorts of things are running through my mind at this moment in time.
The song won't change, but something will.
Good Lord.
So, back to what we were talking about with these guys.
81.
I had a chat with Dennis Nilsson yesterday, and I said to him, you're looking a bit more svelte these days. You're looking like you've lost a little bit of... I think he's quite there where he wants to be. I think he's maybe looking to lose another
140
stone or 2. Still wouldn't argue with him.
No.
He shook my hand yesterday night, and I am positively certain that he may have cured my wrist tendonitis. He is that strong.
100. Johnny Uruguay 40.
Double top then for a much better leg. This is for 14. To the right again.
No score.
You can see that when he goes high on tops,
93.
it's really awkward for him. We've mentioned that word awkward a few times. Nilsson is proving to be just that.
Game shot on the third leg. Dennis Nilsson.
Very nice indeed.
Fourth leg is Dennis to throw first.
For Dennis Nilsson. A
Game
93 checkout and a break of throw.
Penny for a ferret's thoughts.
Plenty of food for thought for Johnny Clayton right now as well. Yeah, just looking at his record in Europe so far this year, it doesn't make for totally comfortable reading. I mentioned those 3 opening defeats, round 2 defeats at the German Darts Grand Prix against Ted Everts, against Nathan Aspinall at the German Open, and also last time out against Peter Wright in Sindelfingen. That was in the 3rd round, sorry. 2nd round defeat by Titus Karnik it was in Austria. But he's not gone beyond the 3rd round this year on the European Tour.
Based on how dangerous he has been in 2019, I find that remarkable. But you do find with certain players that the floor events, the Players' Championship tournaments in Barnsley and Wigan, suit players a bit more, but we can't really say that about Johnny, because he has won one of these in the last 12 months, or just over 12 months ago.
Yeah.
We can't say it about Ian White anymore either, because he's picked up 2 in the last 9 months.
Well, his form on the floor last year has definitely sort of carried over, but been extended to the European Tour stage as well. That's what we're seeing there.
100.
Pure and simple, I think.
There's a lot of guys in that practice room who are a bit more seasoned when it comes to age and what they have learned in their career so far. If you were to offer them that experience at the age of 30, they would have your hand off.
Absolutely.
Ian White is one of those guys. What he would do to the world of darts if he had all of this experience in a 30-year-old, I think would be frightening.
142.
But he's going to be a real threat at the majors this year for me. I think Ian White is bubbling for something.
Yeah, it's something he's spoken about quite extensively, this wish for a TV major. It seems the obvious, logical next step for him.
He does like Blackpool. A lot of these guys love playing at the Winter Gardens. And that's what makes that tournament so appealing, because people love it there.
135.
Not just about the stage itself.
84.
It's about what it represents in the history and who's lifted that trophy before. But this one has been going for quite some time.
Nicely done.
Double 11 for Dennis Nilsson.
Yeah,
oh, he's still perfect on doubles.
Fiddling is Johnny to throw first. Game on.
Double 11 for a hold of throw. It's 3-1 in favour of the Swede now. 84 checkout on the back of that 93. The finishing has been good today again from Dennis Nilsson. It was yesterday. Wasn't as good as that.
He has had a little tweak with his darts in the last
59.
few months, Dennis Nilsson. There's a very small indentation at the top of the barrel. I think that's where his thumb is on the barrel. I think he just needs a bit of
45.
extra guidance as opposed to just having a few grooves. He needs a definitive cavity in the barrel. Maybe it's where his index finger is, but one holding point on that barrel
140.
is where that little cavity at the top is, where those rings are, just underneath that. Seems to be working to great effect in this match so far. Johnny just hasn't got his range on that 60. He's really
44.
struggling to find any sort of scoring ability in this match.
It's been played at a very sedate pace by comparison to the previous match between Ricky Evans and Danny Van Thrijp. They rattled through their match.
You could say this is the antithesis.
The antithesis, exactly. Polar opposite. There we see the averages. Nothing to write home about so far, but Dennis Nilsson, the surprise there is that Dennis Nilsson has been finishing well. That just illustrates that the scoring hasn't been powerful, but normally you see high averages embellished by the fact that players are 3 from 3, but it's been very, as I say, sedate, a bit pedestrian at times, but more than enough so far, because when Nilsson's getting into position, he is finishing things off, and he's not being put under any pressure by Johnny Clayton. That's the concern for the Ferret here.
Well, when Johnny's playing steadily and up towards his best, his first 9 is 110 to 115. He's nowhere near that right now, and Nilsson on 146 misses out on that second 60 for double 13. You get the feeling if Nilsson leaves a double here, which he does,
110.
This might have to go for Johnny Clayton to stay in this match. That is not in. I had to look twice. I actually thought it was in at first. But Dennis Nilsson, to keep that perfect record going on doubles, has double 18 for a 4-1 lead.
Yeah, perfection could be maintained here. Or maybe not, but he won't be too concerned as long as he wraps it up in the visit and he's inside on double 9. And therein lies the pitfall.
That's why players hate double 9.
Johnny Require 54.
Second chance, Johnny.
That could be very costly indeed for Johnny Clayton.
Dennis Require 36.
All Clayton can do now is hope that Nilsson misses out on this double 18 once again, but he makes no mistake. He's clearly learned his lesson there. And Dennis Nilsson,
Dennis to throw first.
okay, he's not perfection on his doubles anymore, but he's in a very, very strong position. 4-1 he leads.
Now the winner of this one will play Glenn Durrant, who's had a day off. He has been on social media this morning as Duzzer, and he's tried to retweet what I think is tweet of the year from Chris Dobie, in likening Ryan Searle to Lord Farquaad from Shrek.
140.
Definitely tweet of the year for me. It'll take a real ripper to beat that one.
I just wonder how Glenn's filling his day. Obviously, he's going to spend some time on the practice board, but I imagine he won't spend the entire duration of Saturday on the practice board. I just wonder if he'll take the opportunity to go and explore the beautiful environment around here.
I would. I've been told there's some amazing flower markets in Zwolle, and there are some beautifully growing poppies on the highways around here, which makes this landscape look even better than it probably was about 2 months ago.
And the Netherlands National Bakery Museum is also here in Zwolle, or just outside. So if you like bread, Glenn, get yourself over there. It's called the Warm Land, this place.
I wonder if you can get a reservation at De Libri, one of the best restaurants in the world.
For Glenn Durrant, surely there is space. Surely there's a table.
Well, he has actually been practicing in the practice room now. I saw him about an hour ago, just keeping himself in tune.
85.
And he was here to watch Jermaine Watamina play, of course, from the same management stable, and that was a successful watch. But he will face the winner of this one. It's more likely to be Nilsson at this point.
59.
Wins so far today for Brendan Dolan. Again, good finishing from Brendan Dolan as well. 75% on his doubles today against Stephen Bunting.
60.
Simon Whitlock, happy to come through against Florian Hempel, who gave another illustration of what he might be able to do over the next few years, and also Jermaine Watamena and Ricky Evans.
Good Cheryl from Nilsson there.
116.
And this is anyone's this leg. Can he get that catalyst to get himself going? And it doesn't bound into that treble 20, and he was expecting that to just glide over the top of it, just like that dart there.
86.
And this would be a heartbreaker again from Nilsson.
Clayton just beginning to look a little bit dispirited at the back of the stage as well. He just looks a little bit
61.
downbeat now.
Johnny Require 16.
It's a bit like Austin Powers in Austin Powers 2. Someone stole his mojo.
Yeah,
well, there you go. There's a little bit of it back.
Yeah, just a helping hand though from Nilsson, and Clayton still had to make the most of it. He knows he's got away with that one. There's a shake of the head there from Johnny Clayton, because he knows he was partially gifted that leg by Dennis's inability to see it out.
100.
He's back.
And now maybe the tide has turned. Maybe, just maybe, that was the catalyst he needed just to get himself going. I mean, we talked about that title that he won earlier this year in the Pro Tour Series, but, you know, he's had a couple of other semi-finals, 3 quarter-finals on the Pro Tour this year as well, so there has been some fairly consistent stuff from Johnny Clayton.
95.
4 runs to the last 16 as well, but he hasn't really got things going on the European Tour so far in the main this year.
Well, based on what he has done compared to most other players on the tour, you'd have to say Johnny Clayton is having a very good season.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we watch a lot of what Johnny is doing, and we can see the grey areas in between the black and white.
140.
We can see the facial expressions. We can see the downtrodden face sometimes after 5 legs in this match, and we can see that he is really grinding. And there are going to be periods, whether you're having a good season or not, where you are going to feel like that. And Johnny is grafting right now. Yeah. He's doing it really well in this leg.
And also, and just to further that point as well, the bigger picture is 2 years over 61. The 2 years on the order of merit. You know, he's number 15 in the world rankings, and that tells you exactly what he's done in the main over those 2 years.
That's right. And I've got to say something about what he just did, because he had 86 left.
57.
His opponent's on 2-4-1. He's gone 18-18, missed the ball. tactically it's all wrong, but it may not matter, and it does not. If Johnny Clayton's going to win this match, just keep leaving double 8, Johnny.
Game on.
And I mean, also the other flip side to that argument is as well, if he'd hit the bullseye, it again could just be that catalyst. Just get the juices flowing a bit more, maybe get the crowd going a little bit as well. And it's worth a go. Okay, if you miss,
59.
It can make life awkward, but I think in that position it was well worth the gamble.
You're a well-versed man in other sports. Is there a shot in tennis that would equate to what he did on that 86 there? There are two
100.
choices when your opponent has put you at the back of the court and he's at the net. Do you either lob or do you go for the passing shot?
You might go for your lines a bit more if you're 5-1 down in a set and you know it's 15-30. You think, right, this is all free money now. It's a free roll of the dice. I might as well be a bit more aggressive and just try something a bit more. Just get your opponent on the run a bit and try and play down the flanks a bit more. Don't be so conservative. And again, that aggression can then come through. And if you do manage to pick up a few points, you can build a bit of momentum. You might lose the set, but it gives you something to work with for the next.
Yeah. Well, Dennis Nilsson strikes me as the kind of guy who would get a racket and probably eat it.
137.
Ever been to Sweden?
Yes, once, briefly. When I was in Copenhagen, I made a journey across that famous bridge, immortalised in that brilliant series.
180.
Well, I'm reliably told that in Sweden they love a herring sandwich. That's one of their favourite fast foods over there. Well, that's fast food. I'm signing up. I've never been to Sweden, but let's get the Euro Tour there. Let's go and play some darts in Sweden.
95.
And it will be Dennis Nilsson and Magnus Carlsen at the World Cup, where Magnus has his bow to an incredible career. But this is huge. This is enormous. This is the bull. This is 4-4 all of a sudden.
Well, there you go. Maybe the fact he went for the bullseye before just gave him something to work with. Well, what a response. Johnny Clayton looked very downbeat not so long ago, but there we see that gradual improvement, leg on leg, 16 dart, 14 dart, 12 dart, all moving in the right direction now.
Well, and based on patterns, he's going to have a 10 now.
Well, he should do.
Very unlikely after hitting a ton start.
60.
But that is a really good three-leg burst. 16, 14 and 12 is 42 darts. That's an average of 14 darts per leg, averaging around about 108 for that spell. And there's another 180 from Clayton, the 80th of the tournament. And he, after saying earlier that he may have lost his mojo, well, he's found it.
Well, we've had
140.
3 breaks of throw apiece here now. It's one of those matches where holes of throw could prove decisive. And if Johnny Clayton holds here, it's definitely advantage to the Ferret.
140.
If he wins this 6-4, I am going to be the first one to congratulate him, because I didn't think he was going to win this match at 4-1 down. I really didn't. He didn't look likely to trouble Nilsson. But since he got that first double 8 to go 4-2 down, he has been a completely different player.
Yeah, and it all stems back to that missed dart at double 20 and then the missed dart at double 10 in the 6th leg. And all of a sudden, Johnny Clayton is playing like a man possessed here. 5-4, 4 legs without reply. And that is the clear and obvious turning point.
I'll tell you what, we said that he wasn't going to get a 10. Would he got an 11? He's still getting better. Surely he's going to get a 10 or a 9 now.
Has to.
59.
He has to maintain this sequence.
This could be, this game, a massive turning point in Johnny Clayton's Euro Tour campaign. This could be the anchor performance
60.
for what happens in the next 3 or 4 months. And this is going to do him really good confidence for the Welsh side, because not only is Dennis going to the World Cup, but Johnny Clayton's going to be skippered by Gerwyn Price for Wales, and they've got a really good chance this time. They're a strong side, and Johnny's going to be more prepared than last year, because this is his 2nd time there.
58.
To lift your average from 84, which it was earlier in the match, to 93, that takes some doing. Has Nilsson got anything left?
100.
He's got the advantage in this leg. He could well take it all the way, and this isn't a gimme for Clayton. He isn't over the line yet. That's one of those darts. That 2nd dart, how did that go in?
It's a little bit reminiscent of the match we saw yesterday between Aspinall and Hopp as well, when Hopp led 5-2, looked to be in control. Aspinall hit back, and then all of a sudden Hopp found something extra in the final reckoning, and maybe, just maybe, that's what Dennis Nilsson's doing here.
I think Johnny's going to need one of those 180s himself. He's not going to get it. Something similar?
100.
That may not be enough
62.
to take us to an 11th leg. Dennis Nilsson needs top of the shop. That is not close.
Johnny, you've got 146.
619s maybe. It was the right shot. Unable to take it out, but able to pressure.
Dennis, you've got 20.
Because Dennis Nilsson is looking just a little bit shaky. His finishing was absolute perfection. 3 from 3 earlier on in this match, but he's really labouring with his finishing now. Relief for Nilsson, and we are going to a decider.
It's Johnny to throw first. Game on.
But it's Clayton with the advantage of throwing first, having won the settler behind closed doors earlier.
Well, he stopped the rotters, Dennis Nilsson,
60.
and has he stopped the ferret train? How much energy and how much brilliance has Johnny Clayton got left after that incredible burst of 16, 14, 12, 11?
90.
Yeah, just to correct myself, it was after a missed dart at bullseye for Nilsson that it was not a missed dart at tops. That would have made it 5-1. And surely there'd have been no way back for Johnny Clayton, but he just really made the most of that opportunity, and it all clicked into gear, but he's just been stopped in his tracks momentarily. Nilsson.
I don't understand why he went for bull on dart number 3 of this leg.
140.
There must be some sort of reasoning behind it, because Gerwin Price, he does it now and again. Mensah Suljovic does it now and again. They may be looking to take the odd number off by getting a 25, but if you get the bull, you've still got an odd number. But Dennis Nilsson now, most importantly, has the darts, and he's got a 60 with dart 1. 85 right now, that's enough.
Yeah.
He has an advantage.
He'll be disappointed, though, that he didn't back up that treble 20 with at least one more.
45.
Johnny Clayton is now showing signs of not again. And Nilsson is showing no emotion. Typical Scandinavian darts. You wouldn't play them at darts, and you wouldn't play them at cards either.
45.
But maybe that's a sign, that's an invitation for Clayton. If he can get 2 trebles here, he has a chance. Needs to switch. Brilliantly done.
Dennis, you've got 141.
Yeah, that just asks a few questions, doesn't it, of Dennis Nilsson, who's on 1-2-1 now.
71 left. That's 2 bullseyes in this leg. And they may be massive for him. 122 for the game.
What a visit by Dennis Nilsson. Johnny Clayton needs that treble 18. He's found its way in, and he's looking at the bullseye.
97. Dennis, you've got
He's had a match dart. He may not get another, because Dennis Nilsson knows where this is. He hit it in the last leg to take us this far.
And he's hit it again. And Dennis Nilsson comes through an almighty tussle against Johnny Clayton. Johnny Clayton looked to have all the momentum in the world as he reeled off 4 legs without reply to get his nose in front at 5-4. But Dennis Nilsson, the Iron Man of the European Tour, shows his strength once again to come through, this time over the course of 11 legs. And it's Nilsson who will face Glenn Durrant for a place in the quarterfinals tomorrow here in Zwolle. Afternoon session continues in just a moment or two. Your next match on the way features Gerwin Price and Krzysztof Ratajski. That should be an absolute belter.
Dennis, congratulations. At 4-1 in front, I thought this is going to be easy, but it wasn't.
No, he's a very good player, and I know that. So I have a little lucky, but I'm in good shape now. So if I have a good experience to being here. So
Next up tomorrow, another great player, Glenn Durrant, 3 times BDO World Champion. That's not going to be easy either, is it?
no, not easy for him too. So I do my very best to get a very good game against him. So I do my very best.
Dames en heren, we gaan hem morgen terugzien. De sterke man uit Zweden, Dennis Nilsson.